Hi, my name is Kelly Hansen, and today we are going to be talking about the ethics involved in a research article. Was the research ethical? So, this research study in particular involved teenagers who struggle with behavioral and psychological issues due to the stress caused by disadvantages in their life. The study aimed to improve how young people in similar socioeconomic situations as these participants receive counseling help. And while I think there was potential for the study to be carried out ethically, there were some issues that raised some red flags for me. In my opinion, when looking at the cost-benefit analysis, the study would have been worth it to conduct to get to the desired outcome if these issues were not present. The first ethically questionable aspect of the study that I want to discuss is the way that the participants were recruited. The young people that were involved were referred by principals, guidance counselors, and teachers, who are all people who have some sort of authority over the participants. This means that there's a possibility that the students felt like they had to participate in the study because the adults wanted them to, meaning that they were coerced into participating. The second ethically questionable aspect I noticed was that the study only used data from the initial counseling session. This raises questions about the rest of their sessions, like would the same counselors be used? Would their respective ways of speaking be maintained throughout the rest of the sessions? If these things were to change, it could cause unnecessary stress or confusion for the participants. If the participants were debriefed after, it was not described or mentioned in the article. Debriefing is especially important in a study of this nature with at-risk young participants. It could also cause issues with trust that the participants have being in the counseling sessions at all if they weren't adequately debriefed. The confidentiality of the participant sessions were not really discussed and goes back to my question about the counselor staying the same throughout the rest of the actual sessions that the student would have. I wonder how the participants' responses about their sensitive personal information were being protected. There are a few changes that I think would make this design more ethical. The first being a change in the way that participants were recruited. I would want to make sure that it's all voluntary participation with no influence from authoritative figures. During informed consent, I would be more clear about how only the first session is part of the study, and I would disclose a plan about how the remaining counseling sessions would be unaffected by the study. To ensure that no harm is caused, I would be more clear about debriefing. After they're finished with their initial session, I would make sure that any stress or confusion caused by the study was cleared up. Lastly, I would be more clear about how the confidentiality was handled in the study, especially about participants' responses that had nothing to do with the study. The article stated that based on the research data, using street talk in scenarios like this increases comfort and decreases negative attitude towards counselors. However, I didn't notice any data such as questionnaires for the participants rating how they felt that would back up this statement. Only the male participants' data supported their hypothesis, therefore the research findings cannot be generalized to other groups, showing issues with its external validity. Because of some of the ethical issues and because the data did not fully support the conclusion, I do not think that the research findings were valid. Thank you.